Hello. As the registrar for the Sunshine State Book Festival, as well as the vice president of WAG, the Writers Alliance of Gainesville, I'd like to thank you for joining us here at this festival, and I hope you're having a great time meeting all the different authors and exploring genres and all the books that are available. My name is Jessica Elliott. I publish under J. Elliott, and let me tell you a little bit about me. I write in two different directions. The first is funny fiction. I have a monkey series based on a albino Buddhist who's having a midlife crisis, and she opens a meditation retreat, and everything that can possibly go wrong goes wrong. So while it should be a nice weekend about finding inner peace, the weather, the wildlife, the guests conspire against her, and so she has to keep her cool while everything is going crazy. My inspiration for writing the series was a real midlife crisis of my own. I started writing the monkey books as a kind of a Valentine to people of any age, really, but primarily I would be targeting the 40 and older group. There are always these impediments that keep us kind of hobbled and keep us from being able to just streamline something from start to finish. You get into a project and you find you don't have the right tool, or there's just always something that's not quite right, and it's just annoying because then all of a sudden that half an hour project turns into 3 trips to the Lowe's or the Home Depot to get more tools. And it's very frustrating, but it's normal. And I think that some of us think that we're failures because we think that other people do everything so well and we don't. And unless I'm missing the boat, I think we all struggle with just trying to get through the day and start it all over again the next day. The other direction that I go in, oddly enough, is uncanny ghost stories. I am intrigued with all things about energies that we don't quite understand. I was born to atheist parents who believed that when you die, that's it. You just die. And I remember being very young and talking about ghosts with them, and they said, "Oh, well, don't be silly, ghosts don't exist." And I felt quite sure that they were wrong. I have no idea why I had that conviction at 7 years old, but I just thought, wait, they're the adults, they're supposed to know, but they're wrong on this one. I have never seen a ghost. I do believe they're unseen energies, and I lived in Japan from 1990 to 1993 teaching English. And one of the cool concepts that I found out is that they have an old world belief that if an ordinary object can live for 100 years, it gets a soul. So they have kind of quaint and weird ghost stories about haunted tea kettles and umbrellas and just ordinary household objects. I love old things. I love secondhand. I love hand-me-downs. I love antiques. And I can lose time in an antique store because I just sort of soak up the energy of the old things. I love old things. And I had a kind of crazy psychic woman come to my house, and she kind of flipped out on me. "Why do you have all this stuff? You're not supposed to have all this stuff. Get rid of it." And it pleases me. I kind of get a buzz from it. And I really do believe that if an object has stayed with certain people, it will absorb their energy. And I like charged objects over neutral objects. As much as some people are repelled by antiques because of that, I'm repelled by new furniture. I freak out in furniture stores because it seems so cold and soulless. And I really like objects that have that old-timey feeling. You can almost imagine the person who owned it before, especially kitchenware. I love old wooden spoons and enamelware. I have a real thing for enamelware. So that recurring theme of energy, unseen energies, comes through a lot in my ghost stories. Well, off the bat, for the funny stuff, I absolutely was blown away by the first few Janet Ivanovich books. I think She had a fresh thing going on. Her characters were so funny. Her ability to write funny dialogue was fantastic and inspirational. Well, but the first 4 or 5, I thought they were fantastic. And I hope that if anybody would make that connection, that my writing style is an homage to her, that would be wonderful. She wrote, I believe it was either between the first one and the second one, or the second one and the third one, that she left you hanging with who was at the door, whether it was her boyfriend or the hot other guy. And it was 11 o'clock at night when I finished the book. And if I could have found a bookstore that was open all night, I would have put clothes on and gone off to buy the next book. I just couldn't wait to find out who it was. That was great. Elizabeth Peters, she wrote a mystery series called the Vicky Bliss series, and I had the pleasure of listening to them as recorded books. The reader was fantastic, and they were terribly, terribly funny. So I love those books. Current author Tim Dorsey, his serial killer main character is very, very funny. You can't help but like him. He's manic and crazy, but he's a lot of fun, and I always enjoy a Tim Dorsey book. They're a terrific read, fast read. I'm a big fan, big fan. We're very similar. I would say that Haint is a bit younger than I am. When I started writing this, I was closer to her age, but I'm aging and she's not. She is an albino, a true albino, and I got the idea because I'm very pale skinned, and I was told by an eye doctor that because I didn't wear eyeglasses when I was a child, nobody thought about sunglasses at the beach when I was a kid, that I have floaters and a bit of eye damage from direct sunlight because my eyes are fair. She is in better shape than I am. She's far more agile. She takes yoga classes and Tai Chi classes, and she's slimmer, taller, more athletic. She's also more inhibited. I think I blunder into situations just making the best of it at the time, and then I kick myself afterwards. Oh, I should have done this better. Oh, darn it, why did I say that? Whereas she's more cautious on the front end of things, wondering, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this at all. So it's very easy to write her. I just have to be more inhibited and question things before they happen. The other big difference is that Haint can speak Russian, Polish, French, and survival Japanese, whereas I can only speak conversational French and survival Japanese. I suspect that she's a better cook than I am. I can cook pretty well, but I think she's better organized and is far more capable of following a recipe and cooking for large groups of people than I am. Mosquitoes will carry you away here. It's one downside thing about Florida. The mosquitoes are bigger than bats. One thing, this isn't even my property, but my lovely neighbors let me put this up. I've been having a grand time writing Buster and researching the kind of cryptozoology creatures that he might be investigating across America. 3. Haint purchases her retreat from Max, who ran the property as a fish camp. It was called the Skunk Ape Fish Camp, and there was a mascot of a 6-foot concrete skunk ape on the property. Haint decided to keep it, in part because it was too heavy and cumbersome to move, and in part because it's a little fragment of old Florida. I thought it would be fun to have our own skunk ape. The UPS drivers, FedEx folks, and other delivery people, this mosquito is out from my nose. Other delivery people find it fun to decide whether to turn right or turn left based Blues on Lotus where Lodge the skunk ape is. And Catfish Springs are, of course, fictional. But I hope that they're real in the minds of my readers. They're very real in my mind. Another influence for the spooky stuff is Shirley Jackson. I read We Have Always Lived in This Castle when I was in 9th grade. We had a Friday afternoon reading period, and I loved that book, and I thought, this is so weird, and I don't think I can talk to anybody about this because they'll just think I'm crazy that I love this book. So odd. I've read 2 of her biographies, and I feel a big affinity for her. I love her writing. I felt for her situation as a feminist stuck in the 50s and early 60s, kind of trapped with having to run the household when she really should have been a full-time writer. She was quirky. She was weird. Her writing is fantastic. It's huge. I love the fact that she wrote 2 funny novels and could be creepy and weird and funny. Very talented woman. Hi, I'm back again, this time in my Dark Poppins persona, which may seem kind of silly, but it's my tribute to the Victorian Edwardian style of ghost story writing. Books such as the Oxford Book of English Ghost Stories, which is my inspiration. I love reading the classics, stories like M.R. James, Sheridan Le Fanu. There's so many good writers that were lost to time and that have come back. There's been a renewed interest in old-fashioned ghost stories, and there are publications coming out left and right. And so this was once just a shelf of ghost story books, and now I have 2 permanent collections. This is my living room all the time now. Once upon a time, I thought I'd get rid of my ghost stories. This was back 25, maybe even 30 years ago. I thought, oh, I haven't looked at those in years. They're just taking up space. I'll get rid of them at the next yard sale. And I put them out on a table and had them priced according to size. And a woman came along and she wanted $1 for all of them, including the big Hans Holzer ghost book up there, hardcover, $40 originally. And I said, no. And I was mad at her. I was mad for days that she had insulted me. But now I'm very thankful that I didn't give them to her, because I've got a renewed interest and I've written 3 of my own. The feel of that time period. And somebody called me Dark Poppins, and I thought that was absolutely perfect, because Mary Poppins was sort of fun and light and tricky. And the Dark Poppins, that's absolutely what I would strive for. Have a little bit of quirky, have a bit of fun, have a bit of dark, but not too dark. That's absolutely
In my
perfect.
American literature class in college, I was enchanted by the short stories of Nathaniel Hawthorne and, of course, Edgar Allan Poe. But if I had to pick my top 3 go-to ghost story writers, it would be Montague Rhodes James, or M.R. James, known as the authority on the classic English ghost story tradition, followed by Edith Wharton and Edith Nesbit. I hope one day to have 2 black cat sisters named Wharton and Nesbit. I think that would be cute. But there are many others.
Hello. I bet you didn't know that Arthur Conan Doyle wrote ghost stories. I bet you didn't know that Charles Dickens wrote a whole bunch of ghost stories. I've got Ambrose Bierce. He's actually kind of a cranky pants, to be honest, but a good writer. My favorite I didn't pull is Algernon Blackwood. I need to learn more about him because he was actually a Buddhist, or at least he had a appreciation for Buddhism, so that's kind of exciting. I can't quite explain why the Buddhist and the ghost story thing works together, but it does for me. I think it's a spirit quest, to be honest. If ghosts exist, spirit, life after, energies. We already talked about energies. It's all that stuff. Thank you for visiting. On behalf again of the Writers Alliance of Gainesville, of the Sunshine State Book Festival, and me as an author, thank you for visiting, and be well and enjoy the rest of the festival. Bye.